Today is Thursday, September, what's it, 17th? 17th. Let's call to order this meeting of the Douglas Economic Development Commission. You want to start with, just for the people, I know that this is being televised, can we do a little roll call, just so people know who's here?
Okay.
Mr. Secretary?
I'm Paul Peterson, the Secretary of the Commission.
Bob and Eric, Vice Chairman.
Paul Stevens.
Scott Duncan.
Carol Gogolinsky.
Carol, and I'm Luke McNeil. Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, would you like to review the minutes, or can everybody take a look at the minutes here? And
Yeah, I've passed them out if you want to take a look at them. If you have any corrections or additions, let it be known.
all good, do we have a motion to accept these?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
I'll second that.
Excellent, so we're good with the minutes. Moving on, we have this agenda here.
And one comment on that, though.
What's that?
Says 2 town warrants need to be approved to allow the project to proceed. They passed unanimously.
It did pass. Very good.
Sounds good.
Congratulations, that's why we have all this paperwork, right? That kind of paved the way for a lot of this. So excellent, thanks to the voters for showing up and voting for that. And now on our agenda here, let's call up item 1, zoning bylaw amendment for the car wash, adding car wash to zoning bylaw appendix A, schedule of use regulations. Commercial is item number 25, discussing possible votes. That's, which one of these?
Number 25.
Number 25.
When you look at the use table,
The car wash one.
Okay, if you look at our use table, we go up to number 24. Function hall is number 24. We've been discussing car wash. At our last meeting, Les and I have been taking this a step further. We met with I met with the planning board, and these were their recommendations, that we put number 25 as car wash in the schedule of use regulations. It will be special permit by the planning board under VB, which is village business in commercial. Y is allowed in industrial zones. It is not allowed in RA, RC1, RC2, or village residential. The state forest is the last one. Nothing's allowed in there, so that's an automatic in. Let's discuss this. I did give you a sheet on what I've been looking at other towns. And that's the one that's... It's got Uxbridge, Webster, Dudley, Sturbridge, just to see what other towns, how they zone it. Webster's pretty much car wash. Their B-5A is their industrial zone. That's actually near Indian Ranch, that entire strip. If you notice, that's where the car wash is, near the mobile station. And then there's one near the old Cranston, which is now
it's Price Chopper.
Price Chopper. I think in a Market Basket,
Yep.
Price Chopper. And that's the only place that's allowed in that district. Oxford kind of ties it into automotive services. In every town is different. You go nuts looking at these other towns.
Is Sutton allowing it by right in a residential?
V would be village, right?
Yeah, but
What's the difference
Yes.
between village and residential?
Sutton, now that's,
No, Sutton's residential would be R1, R2.
Yeah.
Their V would most likely, village
Okay.
would most likely be their dense area, probably by Old Boston Road.
I've got the legend right above it.
I was looking across and seeing, and then across it went by right. I was looking across in the wrong direction,
Yep.
Now, if you notice, the title of this is Car Wash Gas Stations.
right?
We're just talking car wash. Sutton does not have a car wash. It's not listed. Most towns don't. I would say the majority of the towns don't even list gas stations. They're all grandfathered in from hundreds of years ago, before they even hit oil, they were built. So Sutton does not have car wash per se. If you look at Uxbridge, nope, car wash not listed. But they do have a car wash, so that must be an old one.
Well, no, I don't think that's that old. That one down on Quaker Highway?
Yeah.
That's not, Uxbridge is that zoning long before that.
I
went.
believe that's closed right now and not
The one-
coming back. The one in Uxbridge on 146A?
Is it closed?
I think that's turning into something else.
But still, it was there.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
there.
It's there, but it's not operating.
And that's in their industrial area.
I don't know.
That's in their industrial area.
Is it?
Yeah.
And Sturbridge has car wash. It's a planning board acting as a special permit. Those are the towns I just looked at quickly. So that's how they label it, but it looks like we're pretty much in line with other towns as far as putting it within our districts, industrial, commercial, and village residential is our downtown district. It's a very small district, but it does have industry or commercial development in it. Citgo gas station, restaurants. So, any discussions?
Well, I think previously, a car wash might have come under item 7, use, which is motor vehicle light service or repair, you know?
Yeah, probably.
But it's not really clear. I mean, car wash is
Right.
It's a different operation these days.
completely,
If we needed somebody tomorrow, that's probably where we would tuck it until we could specifically address it.
yeah.
I mean, that's, what do you think, Les? That's kind of stretching the issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's what's the difference between line 7 and 25 that we're proposing for the call-outs? We call out VB and commercial for planning board, right?
Right.
Special permit, and then industrial. So what's line 7 call out?
Line 7 is actually zoning board of appeals, special permit in RC1 and RC2. And then by right, VB, commercial, and special permit, zoning board, industrial. So there's quite a difference in
Yeah.
how you allow this. That's why it's nice to have the specific item addressed. You can control it better. You know, a car wash is a car wash. There's no ambiguity there.
Is there a cost involved with making this amendment?
It's about $400 to,
Not much of one.
no,
Just curious.
it's every amendment we push through the last few sessions. Outside a building, inside a building. You have to advertise for a public hearing, 2 weeks, telegram, and it's about 300-something, but call it round numbers, 400. But that's for a public legal notice in the paper.
And it's for each item, it's not just the whole warrant
Correct.
listing, right?
Yeah,
That's separate.
right.
I mean, we had the bylaws recodified back in 1998
Forget when.
or 99 or something
that
like
long
that.
ago?
It was
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Yes. Yes.
Is that a
Maybe,
recurring process?
maybe
It's supposed to be.
2000s.
You're supposed to update your bylaws almost yearly to look at improvements and stuff like that. We're
Times change.
Yeah, we're
You know,
we're
what was
severely-
good 20 years ago is not valid today.
correct, and especially considering it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're behind the times.
Yeah. Now, there's two schools of thought on this, Paul. Next item we're going to discuss is gasoline stations.
Yeah.
We could, correct me if I'm wrong, Les, we could put 25 and 26 on the same legal notice. However, if one gets voted down, they both get voted
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, probably not.
Correct.
With sweating over
I
$400.
think it's just cleaner, just to
I think it is too.
just cleaner.
And we do have the budget.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if we approach the planning board with this, we'll tell them we will take care of the legal notice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there any further discussion on item number 1?
I guess I looked at the wording, and I thought it was pretty good. Covered what you wanted.
So if somebody makes a motion that we will carry this forward to the planning board, the next planning board meeting, we'll bring it forward and
Yeah, everybody have that motion?
I'll second it.
Excellent.
Vote.
Voted B.
Let's vote.
That's
We
the
have
vote,
a
right? Oh,
Aye.
by show of hands, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So it passes 4-0, unanimous.
Right, the chair's not really supposed to vote at the board, that's why. I'm
Correct, correct. Only tiebreakers.
abstaining a little bit.
No, you don't have to abstain.
Right?
You don't have to abstain, just it passes unanimously. That's all.
I'm still trying to learn how to be a chairman.
No problem. The other, the other item when we're talking about the car wash here is, talking with Bob as well as other businesses that we've looked at is one of the things probably we would look for the EBC to do is request a letter from the EBC to the Conservation Board to review their building setbacks.
Who's
To be,
the BC?
you guys,
EDC.
EDC.
Delta.
sorry. For a letter to the Conservation Board regarding their building setback requirements. Right now, there's a 50-foot no-build area, and most towns are less than that. And look at their wetlands, local wetlands regs. That's some of the pain points of some of the development. So I think if you guys are in favor of sending them a letter, and that way they could pick it up as an agenda item to spur on new business, but also review, because Oxbridge, I believe, is a 25-foot no-build. Webster's a 25-foot no-build. So there's other towns, and we're 50 feet.
Do you have a reason for that? Is there a historic reason for that? Just never
No,
changed
they
it?
just
No.
come up with these things.
Yes. So,
Carol's our expert on
Yeah.
no, she's yeah,
It's been around a long time.
correct. Yeah.
That's why
again,
you're the expert.
So I know what.
To the
why
point.
These things came
Yeah,
up.
I think to the point where it just hasn't been visited in a while, where other towns have monitored and updated their policies and stuff like that. So,
Okay, so just to be clear, you'd like us to send a letter to the planning board?
conservation regarding their wetlands, local wetlands regs, and their building setback of 50 feet.
Have you looked into their regs? I remember at one time, they were putting a thing through where you could not fill in more than 5,000 square feet,
That's still there.
any property,
You-
or any contiguous property.
Correct.
And I remember thinking that, because there's some places where contiguous property, there's a place that's zoned industrial up near Webster, on Joe Jennings Road. There's one guy owns like thousands of acres up there.
Yes, Emmett.
If you could only fill in 5,000 feet on thousands of acres,
To get to the dry land.
yeah, it's,
It's ridiculous, yeah. I think that's
I
what,
don't know,
that's to spur this conversation. I think that
Right.
would be part of it, is to talk about the replication of the 5,000 square feet.
Right.
Because what it is replication.
right, you replicate it.
What you do is you're saying,
That means-
so let me explain. If I have a piece of land that's wet over here, and it's 5,000 square feet, I can turn it around, because I need to get to the other side of the land that's dry. I can turn around and take that 5,000, dig it out, it's to properly dig, properly put it in a road, and then I have to in a dry spot, I have to replicate that wetland area extending the wetlands over here and replicate that 5,000 square feet. So it's taking 5,000, giving 5,000.
Right.
In other areas, you're allowed to do a little bit more than that, where you could take 10,000 and replicate 10,000.
Right.
So I think to Carol's point, where it's very restrictive by saying, well, you can only do 5. Well, that limits a lot of things, because to her point, the place in Oxford off of Joe Jenny, you'd probably need to replicate maybe 10,000, and you can't get to it. So now you can't access an industrial park.
What's the state limit?
I don't recall what the state limit is. I haven't gone.
I think that's what we need to do, is look
Yeah.
at the state limit and
Yeah.
how restrictive we are, because it's actually handcuffing
Correct.
development.
Yeah. And I mean, so if the board is willing to send a letter and maybe have Bob draft a letter to send to conservation, it would
Mr. Vice Chairman?
I could do that.
help.
Sir?
Maybe we should do that, we don't think our conservation regulations should be any more strict than surrounding towns.
Yeah, agree.
And
Well, or just more towns that are trying to bring business in, such as in Uxbridge and Webster.
So
it shouldn't be any more strict than what the state requires.
Correct.
quite frankly.
100% agree. 100% agree.
we can definitely look at Webster,
Yep.
Oxford,
Yep.
Sutton, Northbridge, Uxbridge.
You know what, I say we shouldn't be any more strict than what the state
Yeah.
requires.
Oh, that makes
Okay.
sense to me.
The
Yeah.
towns around. You know,
But
they've all built out, they have got all the business
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
And now we're the last ones
Correct.
coming, and now all these rules are on us, and we can't do anything.
correct. Yeah, I mean, there's a cap in building in Webster and stuff like that, limitations and stuff like that, so. So the other item, if you want to vote on the letter?
Just on the conservation thing, none of those conservation rules are in our bylaws at this point, right? Just conservation rules and regs.
It's a policy that they have, it's, you know, it's an internal policy that the board has that they go by, so it's just updating the policy and giving them a chance to review it,
Okay.
you know, and come up to date with some other towns.
So there's no change to our bylaws? but-
No, no, it's a,
Conservation
they have a
regs, okay.
conservation policy, I think.
Would it be possible to have a joint meeting with them,
I don't see why not.
with Concom? Find out when their next meeting is. We'll see if we can have a joint meeting with them.
Yeah, we're presenting the letter for them to say, listen, we'd like
Yeah.
you to take a look at this.
Give them a heads up
That's it.
what we've got in mind.
You can do
Because,
that
you
for their
know,
next meeting?
A lot of the things that they're calling wetlands is stuff that 20 years ago
Mm-hmm.
was not a wetland. What happened, somebody built something, the water went
Puddled.
someplace else, got trapped there, now they're saying it's wetland.
Yep. So you would know this as well as I,
Yep,
where the fire department's built,
what about,
where the fire department's built right
Yeah.
now, what that was back in the day,
yeah, right.
so.
That's a swamp.
Swamp?
But some of the wetlands, or that they call wetlands now,
Correct.
was not really a wetland, just that water started like
Yeah, filtering in.
trapping there.
Yep.
And a couple of plants grew, and then now they decided it's a wetland.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, that is the
I live-
criteria, I think.
What's that?
That's the criteria.
Well, I don't
We've got a
know.
habitat now.
Yeah.
I went with, two wetland scientists can have two different ideas.
Yeah,
okay?
Yes.
One wetland scientist, he's telling me this is not a wetland.
Yeah.
It doesn't have enough plants, this, that, and the other. I got another wetland scientist
Who interpreted it.
who's hired from the Board of Health, the Conservation Commission. He picks up a black leaf. You see that black leaf? That leaf's been in the water for a while, that's why it's black. Nope, this is a wetland. So my scientist says, well, you know.
One
take
leaf.
us to court, we could argue this. I'm going, yeah, how much is that gonna cost? You might as well just go along with it.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, if we've got somebody who's trying to bring in a $80 million building, and I don't want somebody picking up, you see that black leaf?
I agree.
Yeah, I can tell you for another example, you know, I used the fire department, you know, where that's located, it's one. But there's other towns and other communities, you know, such as Norton, I'm pretty familiar with Norton. You know, they, clearly a wetland crossing. And you can talk about wetland crossing, you know, if you go up to Home Depot in Oxford,
Yep.
that was a wetland crossing. Call it what it is. That, the only way to access to that back land was a wetland crossing.
Right.
So if that was only allowed to be 5,000 feet, that you could go in, you could even get to where the ATM machine is. So that's what we're talking about
Well,
here.
I think it's either Home Depot or Market Basket.
Yeah.
When you look in the backyard, it's got, you know,
Correct.
things growing there,
Correct.
cattails or something.
Yeah. So that,
What does it hurt? Nothing.
It doesn't hurt.
How many millions, how much money must we be getting for taxes off of those buildings?
Correct.
Oxford,
Yeah.
out of those
Oxford.
two stores?
correct. You got it. So that's the point. So that's what I would that's why I would suggest a letter to the conservation. If Bob's willing to draft it.
Well, I know it's hurting us right now. We're looking at a large building behind the Carroll's Mill. And there's a lot of wetlands there, just fingers. And if you could replicate more than 5,000 feet, we could actually develop that area.
Yep.
You look at the 185 acres behind Granutech, huge wetland back there.
Yep.
We're not filling in a big area, but there's little fingers that
Yeah.
Yeah.
chop off
How they made all
big
of
building.
like Back Bay? Isn't all
Oh
Back-
yeah. The whole city of Boston.
In Boston,
The
that's
whole
all
city of
filled.
Boston. The whole city of Boston. Let's be clear.
Yeah, this is before regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, but they still modernize and then they still go through.
You couldn't
mean?
build our causeway right now,
That's
Yeah.
right.
Correct.
right? Our causeway is
Yeah.
just boulders, gravel, paving.
Well, it was boulders, a lot of boulders first and a lot of
Yeah.
gravel for quite a few years, and then finally someone paved it.
They thought the world was going to do it.
Yeah. So, we're in agreement? That sound good?
Yeah, I'll draft up a letter, send it to them. Do I have to send it to you guys for review, or just send it?
I'm
Send
okay
it.
with
I
just
say
sending
send it,
Send it.
There you go.
Yeah.
They trust your judgment.
because
right.
we're not allowed to.
Right, review something out of a meeting.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
So I say
They
just,
get permission to send it.
yeah.
Hey, done good in the
Okay.
past, and I'm
There you
sure
go.
you'll do good this time.
it. Also, we mentioned we wanted a joint meeting with Concom.
Con- yeah.
Set that up for the next one, for their next meeting, or?
Yeah, why don't we? I don't know when it is, you'd have to look at it and
Yeah,
let us
it
know.
would probably be easy to attend their meeting.
Yeah.
So, so the other item, I think, Bob and I were discussing, and this is also related to the car wash, and this triggered based upon where we could put the car wash item, was the aquifer and stuff, the town's aquifers. So we made sure the zoning areas where we were looking at putting the car wash is that it wouldn't be in any aquifer areas for that purpose. But speaking with one of the water commissioners and stuff like that, discussing the fact of maybe it's time to them to look at the aquifer regs and stuff like that, not to impact businesses and the town's growth. So I would request if you guys could send a letter to the water commissioners to let them review their aquifer regarding business opportunities in the town's growth, because their regs for the aquifer are probably above and beyond the state regs, to Carol's point. Huh?
I'm sure they're way beyond.
Correct, way beyond the state regs.
Like
And I know there's zone 1s and zone 2s.
It's hindering the town. It's hindering the town's growth. The growth and the business opportunities by that. I think there's other towns, that have aquifers. Everybody has to have an aquifer zone. Webster has one as well. And I think, the ability to still have a business on an acre site still works in other towns. I think we're limiting and speaking to the commission, I think they would be open to reviewing it if they received a letter regarding from this board.
Okay.
Just a simple letter, we'd like to review,
I'd like you to review, them to review.
like them to review their aquifer rules, just like the Concom will
Yep.
review their policies and procedures.
Yep. These things will,
Want to draft that one too, or you want me to take a shot at it?
Do you want to do one? Try it.
yep. Yeah, these could take, these boards, it could take them 3, 6, 9 months to update their things, but it's sparking the conversation that, hey, maybe it's time to,
As long as it's not waiting on us, I'm
yeah,
happy.
open the old book and look through it and see if you got to dust some things off and update things, so.
There's a need for it,
Yeah.
to be more specific and hopefully allow.
Yeah, when we were looking at the car wash, that was a lot of things to go through, so.
And the specific piece we're looking for is wetland laden. So if we can get some distances improved, we can actually do a better fit on that piece of property.
Some crossings and stuff like that would be a big improvement. So the other item, when Bob came to the planning board meeting, it was discovered that we don't even have gas station in our use table. So that's, so this would be a proposed zoning amendment article, adding to the commercial use table for our line 26. Gasoline station, diesel station, fueling station, truck stop.
Les and I were discussing this, and we don't have diesel in Douglas.
There's no diesel in Douglas?
Shell has it.
We have diesel mechanics.
Yeah, that's Uxbridge.
Shell has it, Uxbridge.
Yeah.
We only have 2 gas stations, Family Fuels and Citgo, and both are gasoline only. There's no diesel. So if we decided to add a diesel station, and I'm thinking with the trucking industry that we will be bringing, not only our million-square-foot building, but the one going across in Mary Bedoin's property on the other side of 146, you're looking at a lot of trucks.
Yeah. Which creates an opportunity for the town.
It does.
So,
So
and
if we could get ahead of this curve,
yep,
Well, some of the, down in Northbridge, they're looking at And I don't know if it's happened or not, they're putting up some type of a bid like that, and they wanted the diesel right outside of it. They could, they could fill up right there at the,
Right on site.
yeah.
Yep, yeah, because they make different tanks that, above-ground tanks.
The other thing too, is, we don't know what kind of companies are coming into these big buildings. But when Home Depot was gonna go over to Sutton, which never happened because they jocked them around so long that they left and went elsewhere.
Yep.
When they were going to Sutton, one of the things that they had negotiated with Home Depot was they were gonna register the trucks in Sutton. You know what kind of excise tax you get off those trucks?
Oh, yeah.
Lots of money.
Yep.
Well,
It was one of the mistakes that when Dewey Pile went into Webster,
Yep.
all the vehicles were not registered in Webster. And so then they got a TIF agreement from the town to utilize the space in Webster, and when that TIF agreement expired,
Yep.
so did Dewey Pile in Webster. So they moved on. And then Pratt went into that,
Yeah.
into that industrial park, so.
and, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was just looking at the use table here. Has got some definitions of the uses in it.
Electric charging station.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at motor vehicle light service, which is the one we talked about before, item 7, I
Yep.
think.
Were you in chapter 10 definitions?
Yeah. And motor
Oh,
vehicle light
section.
service premises, oh boy, premises for the supplying of fuel, oil, lubrication, washing, or minor repair services, but not to include body work, painting, and major repairs. So I mean, you could almost squeeze.
Yeah, so sometimes there's the spray downs for road salt and stuff like that. So when you talk washing, yeah, I mean, it's a light cleaning and stuff like that, but it's not,
When you come out and say car wash,
it's
I guess
pretty
you
well
would.
defined.
It's, yeah, and we could
People know it.
define car wash. If you notice who has car wash, Sturbridge has car wash defined. A structure containing facilities for washing automobiles with automatic or semi-automatic application of cleaners, brushes, rinse water, and heat for drying.
That doesn't say anything about people, like
No.
washing cars or anything, so I wouldn't even put a definition if we didn't have to. It's restrictive.
yeah, this one I just read is kind of, it's real loose. It means I'll say washing, but,
That was a pickup truck and automobile.
yeah.
Okay,
So-
are we ready to discuss the second one?
Yeah, so 26, just the gas stations, if we're back on point. So we'd be looking to put that into the commercial and industrial zones. And as maybe the town expands its industrial and commercial zones, it creates a little more options for the town, its growth aspect. So that's what we're putting forward. I work with Bob on the use table and the drafting of the article, which is what I.
The only
put on.
question I had was, we tossed back and
Yeah.
forth truck stop.
Yeah.
And the definition of a truck stop, you don't want a overnight
Right.
50,
Yeah.
100 trailers, sleeping, bunks, restaurant,
So I think-
that type of truck stop.
I think we'll lose that word. I think that we'll lose those words in that.
I think we could drop truck stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, fueling station, don't forget, we're coming into a generation with a lot of electric vehicles, so you have an electric charging station.
I noticed that on the agenda wording, but not in the use
Correct.
table here.
Yeah, we'll update that accordingly, but we wanted your input and your thoughts on that. Bob and I think, I could say my initial draft, to be fair, it was about the gasoline station and diesel. Bob came up with the fueling and then looked at the things, but threw out the word truck stop, and I was like, oh, you got me right there. I'm like, I don't know if I'm a fan of the truck stop thing, because there's no purpose behind it for where we are in the avenues that we have.
Don't have any big highways going
Correct.
through.
Yeah. If we had a big section of 146 and you had a service, ramp that comes off and you're servicing trucks, then
Like
that'd be
the
another
rest
purpose.
area in Uxbridge off of
Yeah.
Exit 3, you could turn that into a truck stop, but it's
Yeah.
not us.
They did that. But the one Sturbridge has one, but it's tied to the Mass Pike.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of the verbiage came from, and there's a use of that. And it's a very successful truck stop there, in Sturbridge. All right. If we're
So again, item 7 in the present use table allows fueling, right? But what we're doing is creating a detailed version of what fueling actually is.
Right, gasoline,
So-
diesel, and we might even want to Is fueling station the electric charging station, or do we want to specify electric charging station?
I think we should specify electric.
I think we should specify it.
So we
Okay,
drop truck stop.
yep, and
Drop truck.
Yeah.
put recharging, charging station, okay.
So my only concern is that when we have the permitted uses in the table where it's Board of Appeals, yes, no, for all the other uses, we should make sure that this kind of matches up with what we're proposing for the car wash and also for the fueling, you know what I mean?
We could take a look at line 7, make sure that they're in,
They should be the same, basically.
just, yeah.
So one,
Well, we don't want to be more restrictive, but we'll take a look at what 7 is compared to
Right.
these and try to be in line.
Can we just scratch 7 and does this cover them?
No, no,
No.
no, 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 no,
Okay,
no, no.
yeah,
No, I think,
I don't want to scratch it up.
yeah, I think we want to,
Trying to add to it.
we're adding some more specific
Yeah.
uses, yeah.
Adding to it.
yeah, that, I think the discussion between 7 and these 2 articles here could probably be picked up the planning board, and if they have to revise 7, then that's a discussion, or add more to this. So, that's fair.
Yeah.
Very good. Any further discussion on item 2?
I had something and I lost that thought.
That was it, the truck stop was the big one, and the
Yeah,
recharging.
truck stop, we're in adding.
Recharging station.
Keeping fueling station, because you might have
Correct.
propane vehicles as
Correct.
well. All your buses
Oh, yeah.
in Worcester are,
Well, fueling, yeah, and also a fueling station, you gotta realize if someone's coming into, such as a family convenience, right? You can go in there, you can get fuel for your car, but you can also get propane fuel. So it's got those multi-uses there,
so we're
so,
going to put in electric charging station
yep,
in lieu of truck stop.
yep.
So how will it be worded now?
We'll revise it and send a draft, once,
Because I'm looking at the email, and that says electric charging station and refueling station.
yeah.
Should that be
Diesel.
plural? Because I know it's down in Florida,
Stations.
they,
Station,
each one, you go in and they're almost like
Yes.
meters.
yeah,
So it's not just one,
it'd be plural.
they're called stations, I
So-
think.
Yeah, if you take a look at where Auburn Mall has a bunch of Tesla charging stations there. So there's multiple there.
So maybe that should be.
Well, look
Yeah.
at your gas station, you have more than one pump,
Yeah.
and it's a gasoline station.
But
Yeah.
can we have more than one station?
Yeah,
That's
so
what-
it's-
Oh, yeah, you could have
stations.
a dozen
General.
charging outlets.
Yeah, because that's usually what they have.
Yep.
Yeah, this is just a building with charging units.
All right,
Yep.
so we don't want to vote on this as is written right now. This one's going to come back?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to go forward to the planning board, and then we'll update it at the planning board, and we can revise it and send
Do you
it.
need the EDC to vote on it ever, though?
Well, we need to vote on what we're going to pass on to them.
Okay.
So
So how's that going to be worded? Or are we still,
If it's not written.
still
Yep.
gasoline/diesel station,
Yep.
comma, fueling station, comma, electric charging station.
Right,
That's it.
and no truck stop.
No truck stop.
No truck stop.
You good with that?
And by right, Y, commercial industrial zones only.
Does that work?
And if we want to revisit an electric charging station, they're pretty benign. You could put them VR, BVB down the road.
Down the road.
Next
yes.
year,
You revise accordingly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we send to the planning board, commercial, number 26, gasoline diesel station, comma, fueling station, comma, electric charging station, by right, commercial industrial zones only.
it's going to conflict with the 7. Because 7 is by right, central business, commercial, and BA, Board of Appeals for industrial.
That's weird.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think that can be reviewed by
Maybe
the,
they need to change that one.
yeah.
All right, let me look at that definition
Why
again.
is that a conflict, though?
Uh,
Because one thing is allowing something that another thing is not allowing?
Yeah, well, 7 is saying you need the Board of Appeals, and this new one, 24, would say,
Car wash. Or fueling station, does it?
Well, I think that the reason that it's got and the Board of Appeals on the industrial area is I think the idea was maybe you didn't want you to use up all your industrial areas for
Correct.
gas stations.
Correct.
But I don't know, it's Board of Appeals, so how do you deny it? But I think that was.
Correct. I think that was the thought back then.
Well, motor vehicle light service, the definition is premises or buildings for the supplying of fuel, oil, lubrication.
More of a Jiffy Lube.
Well, supplying of fuel and
Supplying
oil
fuel, yeah.
is a gas station.
Yeah, okay.
Period. I think planning board needs to address how they want to reword
Okay,
motor vehicle light services.
all right.
Where
Very
is it
clever,
allowed
sir.
now, the motor vehicle light services? What zones?
It's everywhere.
7?
Number 7 is RA not allowed,
Okay,
RC1, RC2, special permit zoning board,
okay,
VR not allowed,
okay.
by right, VB commercial, and special permit industrial. So it's pretty much everywhere, except
Except the
RA
residential.
and VR,
Yeah.
and the state forest. But
Right.
All right.
So you guys got some homework to do on
We'll take
that
a look.
one.
We'll take a look and discuss it. Yeah. We'll get back to you.
All right.
We'll pick it up at our next,
Well, you don't have to get back to us.
Yeah.
They'll be in your ball games.
Yeah, we'll
It's your
take a look
next
at it.
meeting, because if we need to get this on the
Correct.
November ballot,
yeah.
right
And maybe it's an edit to 7,
Yeah.
to add the appropriate ones. I think it's not October 10th. I think there's one the 23rd or so.
I think you got one on the 23rd.
Yeah, 23rd.
23?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
No, 9/23.
23.
9/23. We meet every 2 weeks.
Cool.
hang on.
So,
You're on a Thursday, though, right?
correct. Most
20
likely.
24th, September 24th would be the next Thursday.
Yeah.
A week from today?
Yeah,
Because you had a week last week.
correct. So it's one of those two. Yep. So I'll get this on it as well.
Yeah, the planning board's the most exciting thing going on, since the movie theaters shut down, so I'm excited. to
Really?
check that out.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Most exciting thing, huh?
Fireworks.
We don't strangle each other during a meeting.
I've been watching them. I'm gonna have to go look them up on the computer.
Yeah. All right.
Any further discussion on item number 2?
I think we're good.
Nope, good.
Right? And then on to item number 3, rezone lots 13845 and 13845.1 and 13844 from RA to industrial. That's this sheet right here
Yep,
that you printed out
correct.
for us?
Yeah, it's the map.
Nice, pretty one.
It is nice and pretty.
That was my third item before the planning board last week. And we had initially, in our discussions, one of our meetings, we wanted to rezone this commercial to match the opposite side of Gilboa. It was brought to our attention, why don't we just make this whole south side of Gilboa gray, in other words, industrial? That way you don't have to develop property lines, which I thought was a very good recommendation.
Now, we're not rezoning that house, though. That's
No.
gonna stay.
Number 18 is Bucama.
Right.
That's staying RA.
Yep, okay.
That, and the corner lot, which is off the left side of the
Yeah.
page, that's town-owned land.
Right,
That's at the intersection of Gilboa and North.
yeah.
That will stay RA. So there'll be a little island of RA in between industrial, commercial, and village residential.
Is
I
18
wonder-
okay with
I
this?
wonder if
Yeah.
you have a
Yeah.
problem with the state with that.
No, because
That would make it spot zoning on that one RA.
no, because you're leaving that one. You're extending your industrial zone.
Okay.
Spot zoning would be if we took those two pieces and made them RA from industrial. That would be spot zoning.
Yeah.
What we're doing is keeping what's there, not changing it.
Correct. Yeah, it's when you're extending, you're not spot zoning because you're extending the line, just to blend it in. So, yeah, this came in a discussion Bob mentioned, and because of where the industrial area is and the usage there, it made sense just to extend the line and make, again, the potential of this being developable as a full industrial park will never happen because of the water passage through his areas, so.
Is it floodplain too, a lot of it?
Yeah.
floodplain?
Yeah, but it makes it easier to extend this through, and I think from the usage tables of things we were trying to introduce for opportunity for development, made sense to make this industrial.
We were even thinking of, on 45.1, I was talking to Rochelle Pena, the car wash person, on 45.1, putting the car wash there.
There.
But there is a lot of subsoil problems,
Some homework to be done.
old dump.
Yeah, some
Whether
homework
or
to be done.
not-
I think somebody's worked on that already, though.
But-
Address the fact of what was in there.
Yes, there is a file on
Yeah, I
it.
think it was a fine-
There is a
The only-
DEP file.
The only thing I see, it looks like there's a power line run
That is a North National Grid power line easement.
Yep, an easement
You
that goes-
can't put a building there, but you can park.
Correct, yep,
So if you can put the building, the car wash building itself outside that easement,
Okay,
you could have the line of traffic going right under.
okay,
There are no poles there right now.
okay.
yep. So that's kind of the discussion that we had and the usage of that. And it's also outside the aquifer, which triggered the aquifer discussion about, looking at that. So this is all outside the aquifer zone.
Yeah, the aquifer ends at North Street.
Correct.
Where is that? Can you see that on here?
No, you can't see it. It's just from another mapping thing.
To the left of your page,
But yeah, and
North Street.
I think, talking with one of the water sewer commissioners, that was one of the things is if a car wash does go into an aquifer zone area, they would just have put some writing in their aquifer regarding car wash and chemicals and stuff like that, because there's a certain percentage of car washes can go back into the groundwater, certain stuff can't go back in.
It'd be filtered out.
Yeah, and it's, self-filtering systems.
Reasonable. They
Yep.
figured that out, right? Everywhere.
Yep.
And the aquifer has two zones, Zone 1, Zone 2, and I forget which one car wash is absolutely prohibited,
I'm sure that's within some radiuses of the.
of the wells.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
The power line easement probably was something from years ago. The power line company never used it.
Oh, no, it's still there.
Yeah, but they probably don't need to.
No, it's still there. Easements, they'll never give them up. No, they sell them. They sell the easements.
Yeah,
Never say never.
Might be able to sell
I
that.
know one that's disappearing.
really.
I know one that's disappearing.
Well,
But if you ride by Charles Street, you look at that property number 23, there's a fence around there. You could probably go with a chainsaw and cut a cord of wood inside the fence. That's how old those trees are inside the fence. So that substation has not been used in a
yes.
while.
Yeah,
Where's that?
long ago.
On Charles Street, you have to drive real slow. There's a big apartment complex
Yes.
directly across.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a walk in there, and it's some heavy brush.
Yeah.
But you can get to the chain fenced area.
Yep.
At one time, I guess there was transformers in
It was.
there and everything.
Yep, and the youth.
The Mills,
Yeah.
Schuster Mill, the
Yeah.
Went up
axe factory.
across
Well,
North
these-
Street to Manchog.
Yep.
So do we have a motion to make this recommendation to rezone these lots from RA to industrial?
Yeah, and basically disregard this red line. It's going to be anything that's not gray
Right.
will be,
Except for 18.
Except for 18.
except for 18.
18 where the red line begins?
All of 45, all of 45.1, and all of 44, including Nap Pond, will become industrial.
Yep.
Those three lots in their entirety.
Yeah.
The pond is actually RA, and if you notice where the red line is, that's a property line with Bosma. And whoever owns 40, Kitty, I think, owns 45. Why there's a little shading of gray to the left,
I know.
that's your shoreline, which moves, depending on your water level.
You probably moved a lot this year.
Yep.
Yep.
So to keep it simple, just make it gray,
Yep.
industrial.
Yep.
I thought that was a great recommendation by the planning board.
Simple's better.
We make them happy.
So we have this motion?
I'll make the motion to rezone it to industrial.
I'll second that.
Okay. I was
All
going
in
to second
favor?
it.
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Okay.
Good deal.
Excellent. Item number 4, new EDC member application. I printed this out for everybody. I hope you got a chance to review it when I emailed it, because I
Yep.
only printed one sheet. But we have Mr. Duncan here, and he's looking for a spot to serve on this prestigious board.
Yeah, and I noticed on the application, it said alternate associate position. I don't think we have that position per se, so that's why I said we'll have to go to the selectmen meeting and get clarification on that.
Has that been done before? Has anybody seen that been done here in Douglas before?
What?
Modifying the membership of the board, adding an auxiliary member or an ancillary member or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
they changed,
Yeah. Depending on the,
one time they had only a 3-member board of selectmen. and they went up to
Correct.
5.
Relatively
Same thing with the ZBA.
process?
I don't remember.
the ZBA was 3,
Yeah.
conservation was 5 at one point, now they're 7.
Yeah.
Planning board was 5. I mean, most towns are hover around a 5-member board. So,
I'm just trying to think, were we ever, the EDC ever 3 members?
No, I don't think so.
We've always been 5,
yeah.
yeah. I think there was some talk about 3, but
Yeah,
I guess the quorum of 3 was what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of.
Well, that being said, I suppose we can't quite vote on accepting Mr. Duncan just yet, but can we vote to recommend creating this new position?
Right. One of us will go before the Board of Selectmen. I have no problem the next meeting in creating an alternate associate position and assigning Scott to it.
I can also do that if you need me to.
What sparked your interest in joining the EBC?
Just interested in doing something.
Okay.
And that's good.
Yeah.
There's a,
Whereabouts do you live, Scott? You say 106 Gilboa, whereabouts
Number
is that?
42
Oh,
on the red in the colorful paper.
let me see.
actually, you're in the,
You're
you're in
industrial.
industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe someday somebody will come and buy me out.
Don't be surprised. There's-
See,
He's right next to the classic envelope or
So-
the Supreme
Yeah.
parking lot.
okay, I-
Yeah, right next to the parking lot.
okay.
Who owns the house behind you?
That used to be Al
Bresson?
Bresson. He sold it. Now there's Morgan something there.
Yeah, as
It'd be nice to get 4140, 4142.
there's always places, businesses looking for footprints, so I can say that. You know, I was
I've already, yeah.
I was in the town of Webster when we had AutoZone come in and acquire 3 houses and demolish those down so they could put their footprint in.
Yeah, companies just did it in Hopedale.
Yeah, so it's a win-win for the town as well as the property owners who desire that. It's the same thing that, you know, there's a Mexican restaurant over in Webster.
Oh, yeah, they took down the greenhouse.
The
Yep.
greenhouse, yeah.
Yep, that was a development opportunity. I served on the Webster Planning Board when we did Cranston's redevelopment. We had to rezone that. That was an industrial, and we had to rezone that to be able to provide, you know, what the shopping plaza in there and that redevelopment project. And I worked on quite a few other rezoning articles to extend and bring in additional businesses and stuff like that, so.
Is that why my daughter owns a house in Webster and I own, because of modules, I own the same exact house in Douglas and she only pays 60% of the taxes I pay?
You know,
Because maybe they let some business into Webster?
it's funny, you'll love this, Carol. So our tax rate is, I don't know, 16, north of 16.
1652,
Okay.
I think.
Right.
I was on the website looking through, and the town of Toro on the Cape,
Yep,
$7.
yeah.
And their commercial tax rate was $7.33.
But part of the reason, though, is you gotta realize this, that same house that we have here in Douglas down in Toro would be probably worth, if ours is worth 250, it'd be worth about 900. So that's part of the reason it goes to 7.
It all depends. I did look at Easton, and Easton had some, you know, Easton prints their whole thing with all the evaluations for every single property. And, you know, there's properties that are in Easton that aren't tremendously high.
Yeah.
But they have a regional school system,
Yeah.
and that's a little different, you know what I mean? And that's what, you know, to educate you guys a little bit, you know, if you look at Towns that where the state forest has so much control, a lot of similar towns have regional school systems and stuff like that because there's just not enough growth or area. So you have to increase your density to be able to, help your tax base. And that's kind of where Douglas has to start. We can't take the state forest. Well, we have to try to maybe work with the state forest. Some of the conversations I had with Bob to try to, keep that going. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to introduce a regional school system ever. Those votes have long passed.
We tried that 40 years ago.
Yep, with Uxbridge and Douglas and Sutton, and quite a few times to do a regional, but, yeah, I was around then, so it wasn't that long ago. But it was, probably 30 years ago, Carol.
Oh, no, it was a lot longer than that.
They might have had 2 votes on it then. But, it limits you, when you've got all that area shut off, that's why if you look at like a Bronson Dunstable, if you look at Quabbin and those other places there, you don't have as much control over your town's land, the state does, and then so your tax base is struggling, which forces you to enter a regional environment. And then, in this way here, you gotta look at the density and also working with your neighbors to try to do a co-ops regarding business development. And that way there, it opens the door to more grants and more opportunities, so.
That's right. As part of the recodification process back in 2000 or whatever it was, all of the state-owned property, we rezoned that from rural agricultural to SFO, as state forest
Which
open
was
space.
probably not the best idea,
No.
because the town, we didn't have communication with the assessors, and they kind of base what they give you for payment in lieu of taxes on the underlying zoning, so that was not one of our good moves.
No, no. That's why, like, maybe in the future.
Rezone it now?
No, well, to your point, Luke, a great point. At some point, it will be worthwhile for the town to revisit rezoning some of the state land along Route 16 in the Webster line so far back into the town, so you can actually set up commercial on both sides and then industrial on the back end of those.
What good is it doing? It's owned by the state.
Again, but when we talk.
Don't they pass more?
No,
Zone down?
but to your point, Carol, when you're talking about, when you're negotiating with the state for money,
Right.
then you can say, listen, you've got so much control. It also,
We did have industrial land up there, and it's still, I think,
Correct.
zoned industrial,
Yeah.
and they took it.
yeah. But there's also the opportunity to work with the state, maybe at some point in the future, if your land is zoned correctly, and becomes a little more shovel-ready, there's towns such as Westboro, Grafton, who have acquired land from the state
Right.
in a co-op agreement.
Save our hospitals.
Correct, to redevelop. So saying never, 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 there's a
Yeah.
case where if you rezone things and you get things set up correctly, and the business opportunities there, it could open the door to a co-op agreement with the state. So,
We have a good relationship with the state in that respect?
I think we have to make the changes first to spark the conversation. Same thing.
Okay,
Okay.
well,
Give them that?
Give them
so to
those.
recap here, we
No,
got.
take
a
one,
couple
take
of
one,
things.
take
What's
one.
this?
I need to take one.
That was in our mailbox. This is, I think, from Maria, just our expense report from last year through 6/30, which was fiscal 20. Nope,
Oh, did I take yours?
Yeah.
Sorry. Want to have the other one, Carol?
Okay.
yeah, it should be 4, one for each of us.
Okay.
And it just shows what we spent last year. In our mailbox also was this bill, the $420 it cost to advertise, a legal notice. This is for the last one that we did.
And we have to sign that, right?
You and I and Luke already did.
Oh, okay.
So that's old.
Yeah, this is an old one, it's just a copy.
Oh, okay.
So who keeps these? Paul?
Secretary,
Makes sense.
You got it.
I will keep it.
Yeah.
It's yours. I don't want it.
Everybody okay with it? Does it look sane to everyone? Looks sane to me.
Yeah.
And we'll have a lot more expenses this year. We'll have these 2 items coming up, 420, 420. I think we still have one that she hasn't processed yet.
My favorite number, sir.
Yeah.
So to recap, we're going to set up a joint meeting with Concom.
Yep.
We're going to I'm going to write a letter to the Water Commission to review the aquifers and see what we could do there. And you're going to write a letter to the Conservation Committee regarding the wetlands and the setback of 50 feet, and recommend 25?
Or all the
Nope.
numbers.
Just,
Don't recommend it.
just the-
Is it the water?
You know what
It's
to do
not the
there.
water commissioners that decide on the aquifer?
yes, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, Water Sewer Commission.
Okay.
Then we have one more to find out the state limit for replication.
No, they'll handle that.
Okay,
Conservation can handle that.
perfect. That's what we discussed today. Is there any other business to address?
I think we're good.
Yeah, you're good. You're taking care of the articles.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So motive